December the 5th, 2023. Tonight, Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Don't lie about other people, okay? Mark Stoney used to work here, you know. He got kicked out of the military for being, loony, and he is loony. We sent him he's gone, okay, been gone a couple of years. He just did one video. Kent Hovind is a child molester. And you look at it, it's because his 6-year-old daughter was over at our house, and they lived right here in cabin 5. And I broke my back and I've had whiplash twice. Somebody was massaging my back for me, and she came in and said, "Can I do your feet?" I said, "Well, sure." So the 6-year-old girl rubbing my feet, for my broken foot, I have pain all the time, but I never complain. Okay. And so he says I molested his daughter because she rubbed my feet. The guy is certifiably insane. One of the guys that left here got kicked out of the military because he was crazy. He's still crazy.
Crazy and verifiably insane, you say. And yet you made him a trustee of CSE. That doesn't make sense.
He's probably doing most of this spreading the rumors around. Here he is living alone with his 8 or 9-year-old daughter for all these years, and out in middle of Washington someplace, and accuses us of all kinds of things. I think he needs to be investigated very carefully.
Yeah, you tried that, didn't you, Kent?
And the guy I just mentioned earlier out in Washington, who's trying to spread all kinds of bad rumors, is trying to get this boy he never went missing. He was home with his mom the next day.
Right.
And he spent a year looking for him and raised money. And then he's telling that boy, if you'll modify your story to make Chris look guilty of something wrong, I'll give you $10,000 college scholarship. He's buying him to lie, in my humble, totally unbiased opinion.
And how do you back that up? With nothing. Because you have nothing. That is just another of your violations of the 9th commandment. You are lying.
Mark Stoney, the former white supremacist, being concerned about the welfare of a black child is laughable. Mark would actually be ecstatic if something did happen to the child, just so it would bring down my ministry.
And you continue to do so.
I could have swore I heard the word white supremacist. Now you went on to this other stuff, but just for a moment, can we focus on that? What is this about white supremacy? Are you saying that he was like a skinhead or something? What is that?
Well, he had and didn't mask it very much, but he had leanings toward the white supremacy movement. The black people are inferior, the whites are superior. That's KKK kind of stuff. Okay.
Oof, that's rough.
Again, do you have anything to back that up with? Nope. You just lie. Those of you who have followed Kent for a longer time will recognize Kent's own rhetoric in this so-called letter some guy wrote to him.
Continue on.
This guy wrote me and said, "Brother Hovind, Mark Stoney fought for our flag and country and what it stands for, but he doesn't seem to apply the standards in judging others. He and Cindy and others are acting as judge and jury over everyone they talk about. You, Brady, Freddie, and others. Brady's never been found guilty of being a pedophile in any court. And even if the accusation is true, it was 30 years ago, and it's none of these accusers' business. Let the law handle it."
Over 30 years ago. No, Kent have never used those words himself.
Okay? It's not their business. I think Mark needs to get a taste of his own medicine, so I had this thought, and I thought this was cute. This is what they wrote. Mark Stoney was kicked out of the military for having mental issues. That's true. His mother, Lois Stoney in Birmingham, took his daughter away from him and even drove her car over Mark, ran him over. They did not prosecute her. She filed 3 domestic cases in 3 separate courts to keep him from having his daughter. It took a year of brilliant legal work from Brady Byram. Brady helped Mark get his daughter back, and now Mark has turned against Brady. You hypocrite. Anyway, to help Mark get his daughter back. Mark's dad was also against Mark getting his daughter back. His own mother accused him of having PTSD, being a psycho and a danger to himself and others with all his guns, okay? Mark's wife OD'd on heroin and died. Mark has been gone from DAL for about 2 years, I think. He's a single dad with a psycho problem, living alone without supervision with an 8-year-old girl. since she has not been seen since leaving DAL, and some think we should demand to see her on camera. And she should be taken immediately to a hospital to be examined to see if she's been sexually molested to prove his innocence. Sound familiar?
Okay, there is one thing I had to bring up because I did talk to him earlier. He was concerned that his record with the military might be brought up and all this, and I have to say this, or I'll be held accountable by the audience on this. He showed me a documentation, and I've never been in the military, but it says that he was released honorably on the documentation that he gave me. Are you aware of that? Maybe it got updated since the last time you've seen it, but it says honorably.
Well, there are 3 different ways the military sets people out: honorable discharge, dishonorable discharge, and honorable but kicked out for medical or physical reasons. He was expelled from the military for his mental issues. Read the document. Might have been honorable. Hey, you're psycho, we can't keep you here. Goodbye. I don't know.
You don't know. Then don't make false claims and stop acting like you do know.
But he wasn't. There's several types of honorable discharge. Anyway, thou shalt not bear false witness. Don't lie about other people, okay?
Yeah, Kent, don't.
Mark Stoney used to work here, you know. He got kicked out of the military for being, loony, and he is loony. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Don't lie about other people, okay?
I go to his house, and I'm talking to him about this. I'm like, Dr. Hovind, I just talked to this guy. Like, this isn't good. And anyway, Dr. Hovind always says, don't worry about it. I'll handle it. Not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, well, would you like me to make a bed for him in the man cave? Dr. Hovind said, no, I'm going to put him in the house next door. Now, I want to make this very clear. Dr. Hovind keeps claiming that was Cindy's house. That was not Cindy's house. There was a different lady that owned that home at that time. So I don't know why Dr. Hovind is saying those things.
I know, and I will tell you why he does that. Just hold on.
So that's not true. So there was a different woman that owned that house. My husband and I were going to buy that house. This is a transition at this time when Chris Jones came, that my husband was in a cabin at camp. We got all of our belongings and put it inside this house because we were going to actually buy the house that was next door. It was not Cindy's house yet. We were going to buy it first. So I told Dr. Hovind, I said, Dr. Hovind, there's nothing in that house. There's no couch. There's no table. I took all of my belongings and moved it into our new home because we found a new home to buy instead. So I told Dr. Hovind, my bed is the only thing there that is left that I wasn't able to put in the back of the truck yet to take to our new house that we got.
Well, there's only one mattress on the floor. The boy was sleeping on a couch, but he got scared. He came in and said, Chris, can I stay with you? And Chris said, let's call your mother. So he called the mother right away and said, look, Zaire's scared. What should I do? She said, well, that's fine. He can stay in the same. It's a queen size bed on the floor, both fully dressed, stayed on the bed. Paul came in the next morning and said, Chris, it doesn't really look good.
I was mad, Chris. I was mad at Chris because I got up. I said, Chris, what's he in your bed for? You got these charges. What the heck are you in bed with a kid for? Completely dressed.
But it was also the only bed in the house. It's not like he had
but
another bed to be in.
anyway, I was just like, you couldn't convince me then that you should have done that. And
See, the way people say things, he was in bed with a child.
yeah,
There's a way to make it sound worse than it is, you know.
I know, but
There's also a point.
but Chris
Right.
has to remember,
Line of demarcation.
don't get close to that fire.
But wait a minute, now, there's two things to consider here.
Oh.
That's Chris's decision and the kid's decision. Chris brought Zaire here with prearranged permission from Paul Hansen, myself, and his mother.
But he came home and he was telling me about the trip that from Dinosaur Land. I didn't know what he was talking about.
I said, Paul, what happened with Chris? He said, Brother Hovind, I was there the whole time. Cindy owned a house about a half a mile from here.
Now, I want to make this very clear. Dr. Hovind keeps claiming that was Cindy's house. That was not Cindy's house. There was a different lady that owned that home at that time. So I don't know why Dr. Hovind is saying those things.
It had nothing in it but a mattress on the floor and a table or something, not unfurnished house. Chris and Paul and this boy Zaire stayed the night there. In the middle of the night, Zaire he came to get baptized and did. and had a wonderful time at Dinosaur Adventureland. So Paul is sleeping in his little camper outside. The doors are open. Nothing's hidden or closed. Nothing hidden or secret. So when Zaire got scared and came in and said, Chris, can I stay with you? Chris said, let me call your mom. Mom, he knows the family well. Mom, is it okay if Zaire sleeps with me? Oh, yes, please do. He gets scared easy. So they both laid down, fully clothed, opposite sides of a queen-size mattress. Paul comes in the next morning. There they are, still on opposite sides of the mattress, sleeping in their clothes, door wide open. End of story. Well, nothing happened. Paul testified nothing happened. Chris testified nothing happened. Zaire said nothing happened.
Really, all I remember is dozing off. Then he woke me up to get in the bed, and I got in the bed and went straight to sleep. Boom. And I woke up feeling weird. Like I woke up and he said, come on. And we had to go to like where this little group was doing Bible study or whatever. And I woke up and I had felt like my legs just gave up. And then like 15 minutes later, that's when like my legs just come back.
Chris
Okay,
didn't break
Paul,
any laws by going
can
down
I
there.
ask you another
Chris
question?
I disagree with
it wasn't
that.
against the law of Chris. Well,
With
I've
a
had
minor
people
child?
investigated. There was no. I haven't seen any evidence that Chris is in violation of any law. I'd like to look at it.
It's actually a felony. I think it's a Class C felony in Alabama for a registered sex offender to sleep under the same roof without any kind of supervision. It is actually a Class C felony, so Chris could be looking at felony charges there, and Kent Hovind could also be looking at conspiracy.
Hey, brother, Kent Hovind here. I just got a call from Steve Bolin claiming that Zaire is pressing charges against Chris. This whole drama is never going to quit, brother. Just completely ignore them. They don't get it. Bunch of morons.
Well, would you like me to make a bed for him in the man cave? Dr. Hovind said no. I'm going to put him in the house next door.
So, there you have it. The reason for why Kent is lying about and trying to defame Mark Stoney. Stoney was a driving force behind the search for the kid. The kid wasn't missing, they just didn't know how and where to find him. Kent knew that if they find the kid, things will be brought up to light, and he sure didn't want that. If everything were fine and dandy, he shouldn't have no problem with giving them contact information and settle it once and for all. Instead, he resisted and went on the offense. Kent knew that if Jones was busted, the visit to DAL will be brought up. And when it is brought up, the authorities will turn their eyes at Kent. And the reason for why Kent claims the house was owned by Cindy is that when Kent goes down, he will do everything he can to drag others down with him, like he did with Joe. But it is too late for that. Jones have already been to court, and I am sure the crossing of state lines with a minor to DAL have already been mentioned. It is just a matter of time when Kent will find that out. So trash talking and throwing blame on others is futile. So you can stop with the lies, Kent. It's over.
You are made of stupid.